Oh, what day is it actually? It is Friday, October the 19th. And this has been a pretty good week. It is objectively very similar to a lot of the previous weeks, as in tons of work, unable to do it all, exhausted, but for some reason I just feel better about it. Um, I think I've just started to accept the fact that there's just too much to do, and even though I've objectively known that for a while, I think I'm just starting to actually get used to it and get over it. It's like, okay, I'm starting to get so far behind that it is objectively impossible for me to ever get caught up, but I'm just okay with being able to do everything I possibly can and going from there. In fact, I realized that law school is actually simple. You just work all the time. It's not easy, but it is simple. Okay, so some things that characterized this week. I really started to put together my outlines, which is organizing all of the material I have in a way that's easy to access for any type of examination or assessment that's to come. And that is a very time-consuming process, just like everything is, but it's a good way for me to start organizing the material that I've started to learn and all of the concepts. It's interesting because there's actually a lot of courses that seem to have overlapping content because it is all about law. And in fact, some of my professors will say, have you started learning this in state? Have you started learning this in contracts or torts or whatever? And it's interesting because there are connections that I'm starting to connect. Like, for example, in tort, you could be held negligent under certain circumstances for not doing something. And in criminal law, you could be held liable, or not liable, you could be held criminally responsible for not doing something. And there's different tests and different ways of looking at that, but you're actually not supposed to connect them conceptually yet. Because in first year, you're supposed to think about each course in a silo, because you're going to be tested on what you know about what they call nonfeasance in tort, separately from being tested on an omission, a legal omission in criminal law. Those, you might be able to write a letter or a paper about it in, say, like third year or something. But in first year, keep it separate, keep it simple. So ignore those kinds of connections. Something that happened this week is I also handed in my first midterm essay. I think in my last report I said I was starting to work on it. I finished that one really quickly because I had an idea and I just kept typing and I went for it. There was a group of four of us that were working together on just kind of talking about our ideas, and we kind of bounced ideas off of each other, and it was interesting because we all spent so much time talking about it, and then when we met again on Monday to compare our ideas, our papers were so different from each other, and I thought that was really neat that we could spend that much time interfacing with each other and still coming up with all these different outcomes. And I felt very happy with my paper. The professor for contracts is very much, she has her own idea of what is the right thing to do, and I kind of just leaned hard into one direction, and we'll just have to see if I went the right way. In class later this week, she did talk about an essay. Oh, my lights just turned off. My accent lights turn off at exactly midnight, so I guess now it's Saturday morning. These turn on just before I get home in the evening, and they turn off as a reminder for me to go to bed. So you just got to see that. I was talking about my contracts essay, and during class, she actually elaborated on an argument which I made in my paper. So that made me feel really positive and in a strong position for my take-home midterm. So that was great. This week, I also signed up to Moot. Mooting is basically mock legal debating. My partner and I have basically just skimmed what the case is, and we're going to have to start meeting. We're probably going to meet online during the weekend to figure out what our plan of attack is going to be, because it's in a few days. It's on Wednesday, I think. And so just like everything else, little time to get ready, but it's lots of work. Just got to do it, and that's fine. Something that was noticing me, that was bothering me this week, was I noticed that my pinky finger on my left hand was hurting, and I think it's because I'm pushing Control and Shift too often or too forcefully or something. But I've never typed so much that I've actually had a finger hurt, and I used to be in computer science, so I can't believe I'm actually typing more than I was then. I was talking earlier about not being able to get caught up on readings. In some of my classes, I've started to figure out that actually, well, basically in all of the classes, either lectures go well or readings go well, because either I understand the readings because I've already been lectured to about the material, or I understand the lecture because I've already done the readings. And because I can't do everything all of the time, I have to kind of balance that a little bit. And for criminal law in particular, I found that if I just attend the lectures and take all of the notes that I can in class, it actually seems to be good enough. And fingers crossed on that one, but that's what I've discovered for criminal law. So that it's kind of helping just to kind of get a sense of what I need to be doing in that class. I think that's pretty much it. Like I said, this has actually been a pretty good week. I've felt good about it, not because things have gone any better than any previous week, but just that I kind of am getting into the hang of it. And that's all I have to say. So that's the end of the week. I have a torts midterm coming up on Monday. It is just for practice, basically, because it's not going to be worth anything. Unlike my contracts midterm, which was no downside, torts, even though they have all of the formality of it being a real midterm, like assigned rooms, assigned seating by last name and all, it's actually not going to be worth anything. But it's still a good enough time for me to try and get all my information organized, because the following week is a criminal midterm, which counts. So I'm treating it like a real one, just like I would have treated all of my practice LSATs as a real test. So anyway, there we have it. Clearly my lights have turned off to remind me to go to bed, so that's what I'm going to do. Thank you everyone so much for giving me feedback on these videos. I'm very happy to know that I actually have an audience, that these aren't just for me, and it's a great way for me to reach out to you. And thank you for reaching back and giving your feedback. Have a great night and a great weekend. Bye-bye.